All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to AFAA Friday Live. I'm glad you joined us here today. I am host Angie Miller, and I am an AFAA Mentor and an NASM Master Instructor. You can also catch my Angie's Tips on the AFAA blog for group fitness instructor teaching tips. So today we have a super fun topic. It's going to be group fitness is going to get real. So I got a real guest with me today, a great expert. Her name is Joanne LeBel. And she is a very seasoned group fitness director turned general manager at a Crunch Fitness in New York. And I'm going to let her name the city because I always butcher that name when I say it. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Joanne so that if I missed anything about telling you about her, she can at least introduce herself.
Hi guys, I'm Joanne. We are in Schenectady, New York, which is right outside of Albany, at Crunch Fitness. I've been in the industry now for almost 26 years. Started as an instructor, went to a Group X director, then I was a regional Group X director, and now a general manager here at Crunch.
Wow. So tons of great experience. You know, I'd say I never really say how long I've been in the industry. Like I'm keeping this secret about how long I've been doing this. Let's just say that, you know, when I started teaching, I started making $8 an hour. So it was it was a few years ago with some high top tennis shoes and some, you know, thong leotards. So it's been a while. But Joanne and I want to get real about group fitness because we have some fun topics. Actually, a while back, I did an Angie's Tips video on, are you a group fitness director's worst nightmare? And you know, this is all with good humor, but what we would love is for you to join the conversation. So there's always on the Facebook Live, there's an opportunity for you to get in there, ask questions, make comments, because really I'd love for you to be a part of this conversation. We are an AFAA global group fitness community. We're all in this together, so join us when you get a chance. So on the, you know, are we a group fitness director's worst nightmare and why? One of the things that comes to my mind is, you know, getting a lot of subs, right? So we go in there and as we get back, especially if we get back after COVID and we get these classes back and we try to get back into the groove of things and we build our communities back up, we get everybody all excited to be back there. What about getting a lot of subs? What do you think kind of creates that kind of environment, and what do you think is a better alternative if we feel like we have to get a lot of subs for our class? Joanne?
Well, I used to have a 5 sub max. So for a schedule that was 3 months long, we did three subs are given, right? Stuff comes up, life happens, and then there's always that extra 2. And if someone knows that you're going to be out for more than 3 or 4 classes in that 12-week period, not to take the class. I'd rather the person sub the class. And then when it became, you know, twice a month or 3 or 4 classes a week, you know, that becomes a lot. So I wound up taking them off the schedule, which never ended well. But we always had that kind of rule. Try to put that in place was like really hard because, you know, life happens. But a lot of people, after a while, they adhered to it, and it kind of worked out well.
Yeah, it kind of keeps some consistency in there, right? I teach a Sunday kettlebell class, and I do a lot of traveling. So I do a lot of presenting and educating on the weekends. And when I said yes to that class, I had to tell the director straight up, hey, there's going to be at least one Sunday a month I'm going to be out. Is that going to be okay? So I think the whole goal with subbing is communication, right? If we get ahead of it and we say, I can take this class, but it could mean that I'm going to be out a lot and there's going to be some inconsistency. And my director was like, cool, at least when you're here, you'll be here. And if you have to get subs, go ahead. But what do you think? Give me some thoughts on other things that maybe you love about your fitness instructors, but maybe there's a few things you'd love them to know if they could be your dream instructor.
A dream instructor. My team right now, I have one end of the spectrum to the other. So I have an instructor who, if she knows she's going to be out because she's a teacher and they have conferences, she makes sure that, you know, she goes above and beyond to take the class away from me. I'm going to be out two times. No, it's okay. But then on the other side, there's instructors who, you know, they have a hangnail, they have a cough, and they can't make it. And then it just becomes, how many times have we taught with temperatures and, stomach issues or whatever the case may be, but we're there. So I'd rather have someone who's going to come in and say, okay, let's do this. I had an instructor who taught with 104 temperature, but then I have an instructor who, she has the sniffles and she just doesn't show up. So it's really kind of, so the ideal instructor would be someone who does whatever they possibly can to be here and to show up for the members that show up for them.
Right. And that's a great way of putting it. We don't want anybody teaching sick, but at the same time, we all kind of want to go above and beyond and not go too far over the realm of getting subs, because members love to know that we're going to be there. They love to know that the person they're counting on is going to be there. They count on that class, they count on that teacher or that instructor, and they count on that community. So consistency is pretty key. Mm-hmm. So what else do you think? I was thinking things in terms of, my director said to me once when I wrote this article, I called her up and I was like, what drives you crazy? And she said, over expecting. She said, so just because you come in and you teach your class and you get a good, following and you do what you're supposed to do, she's like, you do what you're supposed to do. And she's like, but that's not all there is to it. What about going above and beyond? What about subbing? What about all the other ways that you can help make the club that it is? So what do you think about that?
I think that the instructor, they come in, like you said, they teach a class, and that's what they're supposed to do. That's what they get paid to do, right? That's their job. But it's the instructor who shows up and takes other people's classes, who talks up other instructors, who jumps in the front desk because the front desk gets to be busy and they have to do these things. They show up for community events. Community events they don't get paid for, but they show up because it's a part of a team. The instructors that can't do that, it gets to be challenging because they think that they own that they need that to happen for them because they showed up. So just because you show up, you need to do that little bit extra to make it a team effort. So, talk up your other teammates, talk up the classes, talk up the club, put yourself out there. Go have the ideas, bring some ideas to the director and say, hey, why don't we try to do this? People are going to like this. Be a team player.
Yeah, so I hear initiative and team player. And I think, the reason what I wrote there when I filmed this, Angie's Tips, the reason why I said, are you a fitness director's worst nightmare, is because I knew it would get attention. I knew that would draw people's attention. But really what I was saying was, what can we do to be a great team player? Right? That's the opposition of it. What can we do to be a great team player? And one of the things we can do is try not to get too many subs, especially when we come back, because we are moving into phase 2 here in North Carolina. We're going to be going back soon. And I think that being there and being really available to our members is going to be more important than ever. Making sure that if we take our classes back, that we can be as consistent as possible, because those members are going to come in, all of us are coming in a different person than we were before all this started, right? We've had a lot of experiences and a lot of growth in a lot of ways. So that was really my thing, is what can we do to be the best instructor that we can be for you directors? Because you've got a big job ahead of you when we open these clubs back up.
Yes, we do. We definitely do. For me right now, I'm going to lean on the team. A lot of my team members, they've been with me for some time. So we work well together. We have that business relationship. We also have a friendship, but we know where to divide it. But I'm going to be leaning on them a lot, and to be able to let the members know, what we're doing and how we're doing it, but be the team player. So if I need a Zumba instructor to teach yoga one day just because there's no one showing up, that's the team player. That's going to get a little bit uncomfortable, get outside their skin and do whatever they need to do to make it fun for the members who do show up. Because when you go to a class and you're subbing and you walk in and they don't know, that's the worst experience to have, right? We've all been there to say, oh my God, here she is. I can't take her class, or her again. So just be the team player and make it fun for the members, because that's what it's all about. It's the people that are in front of us that give us the opportunity to actually show up every day.
Well, and you hit on a good one, because another Angie's Tips that I filmed was, are you the reason your members are mean? And my whole thing with that was, what kind of community are you creating for the person who steps into your shoes, because all of us at some point are going to get sick or have to go away. So my point is, sometimes I pick those spicy topics because I know they'll get people's attention, but really my goal with that was we cultivate our communities, and it starts at the top, right? So we teach our people how to treat other people, and I think it's about embracing everyone on the team and teaching our people that we are all, we're only as good as our weakest link. And so we are all part of the team. And especially when we get back, because like you said, there's going to be some things that are going to happen as we go back into this. We're not sure how smooth it's going to go. So maybe the Zumba teacher has to step in for yoga. So we all have to create that climate of all of us are equally skilled, equally capable. And no matter who comes into my room on the day that I'm supposed to teach, they're going to do a phenomenal job. So let's back everyone up.
Right. That's a very good point. Back everybody up, right? That's what we all should be doing, regardless if we're teaching a Group X class, personal training, out on the street, in the store. Help people, and let's get away from all that negativity. So, everybody has their followers, right? Every instructor has the people that come to see them. So why can't we make the whole team those people and have all of our members want to see every single one of us for whatever reason? Yeah. We are not for everybody, so make it that way. So, if I go into a class that I normally don't teach, they're going to get a good laugh because it's totally out of my comfort zone, but I'm going to give them a good time. So they walk out saying, wow, that was fun. Don't even realize that they worked out and they're sweating, but they had fun. And that's the end goal. It's about having fun at the end of the day.
Right. Not taking ourselves too seriously.
Right.
We love what we do. We love our members, but not taking ourselves too seriously. Realizing that if we believe in our director, we believe our director is capable of hiring capable people. So if they hired us, we have to assume that we must have had the qualities and skills that our director wanted. And so our director then hired a lot of other people who had qualities and skills that they wanted, because we really do want to be able to step in for one another. We want to cultivate these positive communities where people don't treat us disrespectfully, or where we're scared to sub for an instructor because we're so afraid of what her people are going to say or do. Because I've been there. I moved to Charlotte and I subbed a yoga class, and I was like, oh, wow, I didn't start teaching yoga yesterday, but by the time I left, I sure felt like I had, because I wasn't the instructor who normally teaches it, right? So.
Yeah, it's hard. For me, starting out, I got thrown into a step class, the worst experience of my life. I think every instructor walks out of a room crying at some point, right?
Yes.
Couldn't get out of a combination that I was doing, so it was awful. But at that point, that's when I kind of put my expectations up for me. So unfortunately, my team, since my expectations are high, theirs are also high, and they know that I hold them to a little bit higher, because we want to put out some good product and have that happen. But it's being uncomfortable sometimes is really, really hard. It's super hard, but it just makes us stronger and say, I got that. I can do this. I got it. Everybody's behind me. And I actually I treat my team as if they're my kids. I get very very protective of them. If I hear negative things coming from our members, it's like you're talking about my family here, and I don't want that to happen. I just want it to be positive, because it's really hard. It's hard to make everybody happy. 40 people in front of you, someone's not going to be happy. Yeah. So you try to do the best that you can with what you have, and by the end of the day, we just have fun.
Well, and you hit on something about the whole positivity thing and members coming up to us. If you're an instructor who's hearing a lot of member feedback about other instructors, I would stand on a platform that says it might be because you're opening yourself up for that. So I always put myself in a position where I really don't, see no evil, hear no evil. I really don't hear about other instructors, because my whole mojo is get there early, leave late, but keep the conversation positive, keep the conversation about the class, their lives, me being us being a part of this community. But if it starts to transition into, oh my gosh, I took so-and-so's class, or I hope you never asked so-and-so to sub, I'm always going to lift people up and make sure that the conversation never goes there. I never want to get down in the mud with members about other instructors, because again, we're only as good as our weakest link. So we really all want to be the tie that comes together, right?
Right. Yeah, and it's super hard, and you definitely touched on that you don't want to be that instructor that people don't like. And why don't they like you? Because somebody else said that they don't like you, or don't try this person, it was an awful class. Sometimes we have off days, and when you're teaching, you're like, oh my God, this is probably the worst class that I've ever taught in my whole entire life. How many times have we walked out of that room saying, that was terrible, nobody's going to come back? But then you find out it's great. Like, they loved it for whatever reason. But, to have that negativity, and the point you made about, being here a little bit early, staying after class, that's huge. It's absolutely huge. We can't, those, I call them Rebecca Reeboks, but I don't know what else to say, that, they come in at, 5:59 and they're ready to go. They think they're ready to go, but their music doesn't work, and the members are like, oh my gosh, who's this? But we have to be here 10 minutes. They want to talk to us. We are the people that they're coming to see. And afterwards, they want to chat us up as best as they can, because they're friendly with us, right? We're their best friend at that moment. So they want to tell us all about their day, and we have to be able to be open to them and start to know who we have in front of us. That's how we're going to teach a better class, by seeing the people and knowing them a little bit better than we need to, but we know them, and then we know what they want, what they need to have that day. Everybody needs something when they walk into that Group X room. They're looking for something, and we need to present it. We're not sure what it is, but we hope that we hit on it.
Right. And that's so true. I think that getting there early, leaving late, and I think in a nutshell, that's what this really boils down to, is how to be valuable to your members and to your director would be, don't get too many subs. Or like, if it's my situation and I tell my director ahead of time, hey, I can take this, but I'm going to have to get a lot of subs. So continuity is key. Never speaking negatively of the team, never speaking negatively of the gym, never speaking negatively of one another, always building one another up the way you would build your kids up, right? Mm-hmm. If you hear something snarky about another instructor, don't get down in the mud. Try to find something positive and pivot the conversation a different direction. Some of the other things that we talk about is going above and beyond, doing special events, getting there early, leaving late, and just not over expecting. So in a nutshell, is that kind of what you think for all the...
That's definitely that's everything, because we can't do it without each other. We have to work as a team, and as soon as you start not working as a team, you have the team, and then you have that person. And you don't want to be that person outside the circle. You want to be inside, because everybody needs all of that, the attention that comes with Group X, right? Group X, it's you and 40 other people. Yeah. So who doesn't like that? Sometimes that's my most comfortable position to be in. You put a mic on and the music on, and I'm good to go. Other situations, not so much, because it's a comfort zone, and you want to be comfortable, and you want to know that your team has your back.
Yeah, for sure. And that's all part of like lifting one another up. So I'm going to shift the conversation here, because I've had a lot of instructors write to me and ask me to kind of cover this topic. And I wrote about it in a blog. I wrote about how to deal with disruptive members. And a lot of instructors reach out to me and ask me about this, because as hard as we try and for everything we give, at the end of the day, we do have some members who can be disruptive. And some of the things that I wrote about, some of the ways that I wrote about dealing with them is, we can ignore them, kind of like you ignore a kid having a temper tantrum. We can ignore them and act like it's not happening until we can't ignore them anymore, right? And then I talked about things like, make eye contact. So I used to teach school, so I used to use the old eye contact thing, or I would do the proximity thing where, because I don't know if anybody else has realized this, but did you know a spin bike is a perfect place to put a cell phone? Oh. And so, they might answer their cell phone or start texting somebody during class. So I do the old proximity thing where I stand next to them and then just continue cueing to the class and not really talking to you, but I'm sort of getting by you in your space so that you know. And so what are some things that, instructors can do to help mitigate or manage disruptive members? What do you think?
So the first thing I do is what you had said. I make eye contact. So if I'm on the stage or I'm on the spin bike, I make eye contact several times. So then at some point, I'll make a blanket statement that everybody can hear, because you know that the members see this going on, and they're waiting for you to say something, right? So, do you do a blanket statement? Do you never call the person out, but you so want to? Then at some point, I teach my team to put it in their intro. Cell phones away. If you have an emergency call coming in, please walk outside. If you have a question, give me a little hand raise. I'll come over while I'm teaching. Try not to talk amongst yourselves, because now you're talking with me and now I have to talk over you. But, and then I usually, if it doesn't work, I try to have a side conversation either after class or the next time I see the person. So, because we don't know what they're talking about, but they could be talking about us, right? That they don't like the class today. Who knows?
How much they love the class.
Right, how much they love the class, or my outfit, or whatever the case may be. But the cell phone, definitely, handlebars on a bike, yeah. Perfect spot for it, right?
Well, I think what you said, your comment about, at the end of my article, I wrote, one final note is the best way to manage bad behavior in any situation is to get ahead of it. It's just like raising kids, right? I would take my kids somewhere where I knew that there was opportunity, where things were just going to go, right? So I would set up some precedents. If this happens, then this. And if this happens, then this. So at the beginning of class, in our intro, building everything in. I look at it like I used to teach college students, and my syllabus every semester would get longer and longer and longer and longer, because every semester I would find students are so creative in ways that they beat the system and things that I never would have thought of. I'm like, oh, wow, kudos to you for being creative. So it's kind of like your intro might get a little bit longer, because we're saying things to the global class where we're not calling anyone out. And if we put it in at the beginning, we're not pointing at anybody. We're not making anybody feel bad. We're just making this blanket statement at the beginning. If you could mute your cell phones, if we could keep conversations to after class, all the different things that we have noticed in our own individual classes that create a problem for us, that's our syllabus. That's our intro at the beginning of class.
Right. And, that time in the Group X room or in the ride room or wherever they are in the gym, that's their time to disconnect. So why not just lock your phone away and just have your 30 minutes or have your however long you're here. Our classes are 30 minutes, some are an hour, but it's 30 minutes. Disconnect. Give yourself that downtime and enjoy your space, enjoy your time, because it's super important to kind of regroup before you go back home and all the kids are there, your husband or your partner is there, what's for dinner, what have you. But it's your time is important, so take it.
That's what I tell, that's how I present it. At the beginning of my little spiel, I presented that this is self-care. And so don't let anybody get into your space. There's too many times throughout the day where we have to answer our cell phones, be connected to our devices. This is your self-care. This is your time to disconnect from the world. And, I used to laugh with my members a lot, where I would say, I've been teaching for decades. So when I started teaching, there weren't cell phones. So if my kids started vomiting at school, nobody got a hold of me until my class was over and everything was still okay, right? Whatever was waiting for me was still going to be waiting for me at the end of the hour. We weren't such an in-the-moment society where we had to be breaking news every moment of what's going on. And so, there are emergencies for sure, but yeah, I presented that this is self-care, and these are some of the things, and I give my little syllabus intro at the beginning. But so let's talk about some of these ways a little bit more detail. So the first thing I mentioned was ignoring them. And I have to laugh because I have a new puppy, and he barks. nonstop. And so I was reading that if you ignore, so I often will turn my back to my puppy, and it's not very effective. But anyway, so one of the things is we can try to ignore, but we all know that usually the person that we're trying to ignore does not get the message. It's kind of like my puppy. He just doesn't get the message. So, we talked about making the eye contact. And I kind of look at this like a step-by-step.
Yeah.
So 1, I try to ignore. 2, I try to make eye contact. 3, I try to address the class as a whole. And I do little reminders like, hey guys, it'd be great if everybody could turn off their cell phones, right?
Yeah.
And then I do the proximity thing, and then I speak to them after class. So I'm wondering, do you have a step-by-step that you go through that might be more effective?
It's super similar to what you have. I definitely tried to ignore it at first, but like I said earlier, members are watching now, and they're like, what is she going to do? Is she going to go? Like, is she going to blow right now? Because now they're mad. Like this person is disrupting their workout. And that makes it even challenging, because now you're thinking, all right, how do I say it? How do I not lose my cool? And how do I please everybody else, but get the point across? The point never comes across, though. That person doesn't get it where everybody else is getting it. They never bring their cell phones in again. But
Exactly.
sometimes the population, the participants, they'll start and they'll say something. So they'll start going like, put your cell phone away, or come on, guy, we have to do this together, or something along those lines. But they make fun of me sometimes because I get on my soapbox. And before class, I have my spiel, and I go through all of the things. And I even say now, all right, guys, it's soapbox time. And I go through, no cell phones. If you need to leave early, let me know. Try not to go all the way in the back of the room. Try to stay by the door so you can just kind of scoot out instead of walking from one end of the room all the way to the other on a diagonal to get out. Because now
I love
everybody's
that
watching
one.
you.
I love that one. I love the front row person who needs to leave early, right? So that's a great one. If you got to scoot out early, can we not go through the whole entire class and then on the way out say goodbye to everybody, right? So yeah, and the reason why I chose these topics today, and like I said, sometimes I choose kind of spicy titles because I want to get people's attention, but really the reason why I chose them is because I think that we are going to come out of quarantine. And we're going to go back in, and we really want to be the best instructor that we can be for our directors. And we also want to teach our members the best behavior, because when they come back, I feel like more than ever, there's going to be opportunity for, some disruptive behaviors, not intentionally, not because they don't love us, but because, my gosh, we're also socially isolated. I feel like more than ever, it's going to be difficult to keep a class flow going where members are wanting to have all these sidebars. And so I think that just offering ourselves before and after and having like a little after class party or something might eliminate some of this, because we are all dying for human connection right now.
Yeah, actually, it's funny that you mentioned about that little after party. I was thinking of doing like a Group X social where people can come in with their masks on if they want, stay the distance, whatever the state mandates, but just people want to see each other. So right now we're doing virtual classes, and one of the platforms is Zoom, because people want to see each other. So now they actually have their little names, and they go up and they have, hey, Judy, how are you? And they'll have, they do all these little things because they miss their friends. They miss their friends that they see every single day. So it's going to be a little bit crazy coming back, but we're working on that. And it's definitely going to be a different norm for sure. So kind of crazy.
Yeah, and I think that's why, it's talking about how to go back as a team player, talking about how to go back and help our members stay completely engaged in the experience. But, speaking of all that, is how are we going to go back? Like, we've been away for what feels like a year. And even after decades of teaching, I'm thinking to myself, am I even going to remember how to teach? Haha. But you know, it's going to be a different experience going back in there, and no one really knows how this is all going to play out. But what do you think if you had to tell your instructors today, here's 3 things I'd love for you to do to get yourself completely prepared to come back and be on par? Like what's a tip you've got?
Well, I have to say our readiness plan is pretty spot on. So we have scripts that the team will go with, and how we're spacing our rooms, what we need to do before and after class to prepare for our members to come in. And just a little Q&A that we are actually starting to go through, because we have conversations at least once a week with the team, with the instructors and the trainers, just to see where things are going. But I guess the couple things that, headset for one, you know, I'm recommending people get their own headset if they get kind of freaky about it, windscreens and things like that. But just know the guidelines and know our spacing. You know, we're staying on our stage. We're not going to be going out into the crowd like we used to and touch people and help them and move them and check their form in that respect. And be mindful and make them feel safe. We want to make sure that when our members walk through our front door or our group X room, that they feel safe doing what we have. And by that, I think that we're pretty spot on right now of what we're doing for our readiness plan and how things are going to work and how our class schedule is going to be. And the instructors, they're there. They're ready to go, actually already. They're chomping at the bit, ready to get in there and get ready to go and teach, because they miss teaching.
Yeah. And I think that that's a great idea, is to have a readiness plan. So I think that even if you don't teach for a big gym, and let's say you go into a church and you do a Sunday morning class or something like that, just like you said, know the CDC guidelines, kind of follow the best you can and kind of have a script to keep people prepared and to make people feel like you know what you're doing and you're prepared for this and you're going to keep everybody as safe as possible. But I do think that, you know, for me especially, and I hope that this is the case for everybody, I feel like I'm going in with a big glob of gratitude. Like I am so ready, and I am so, this has been such a lesson in humility and recognizing what we do and how much we love it and how much we miss it. And that's why I think going back and really embracing one another, supporting one another, not being a nightmare, but being what's a word, you know, just a really good human, and making the members feel good and creating these communities where everybody is just grateful.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to be super grateful, especially, you know, those group Xers who were diehards. They want to go, and the instructors, they're ready. And as long as we create that safe and clean environment here, I think that we're going to be okay. But it's just, you know, having the whole team be a team from front to back. So we have to have that unity within the team in order to portray that safe, clean environment that we have.
Yeah, and communication will be key, right? Yeah. Like this is where the directors really come into play, is being able to communicate with your team exactly what's expected and exactly how we're all going to go in there prepared and confident that we've got this, right? We don't want to be all EBGBs about it and that type of thing, you know, pick up the microphone and be like, ooh, I don't know if I want to put this on, you know, we don't want to put out any, give anybody any food for thought other than this is going to be great, this is going to be safe, we're going to do this. So
the other thing I think that we have to be mindful of is the members watching other members, right? So if I have a set of dumbbells and I clean them off, but did I really clean them off to what the other member thinks, then, you know, we have to be mindful of that and not play referee, but make sure that everything is done. So, you know, part of our plan is, even though the members are cleaning their equipment, they're still going to leave it out, and then we circle back around and we clean it again. So then we know that everything was touched, everything was sanitized. But I think it's going to be super mindful of members over members as well.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And that I think, if anything, I look at this whole situation as, if we thought we had communities before, I think we're going to have even better communities now. I think because of the gratitude, because of the humility, because of the space that we're all in, where we all miss what we do, we all miss this connection. I really hope that we come back even more gracious, even more empowered, even more ready, and just recognizing that we can't take anything for granted. Right? We can't take anything for granted. So there's no room to be a diva or to have all these big expectations. There's just room to be a team player and to just be so happy that we get to do what we do.
Right. Do what we do and what we love to do, right? This is the fun part of it. This is all fun. And, when we all started out because either we didn't want to pay a gym membership and dragging our kids paying, daycare and things. And we said, oh, well, I can teach. But just be happy about and be grateful, right?
Yeah.
We're in the gym again. That's going to be the biggest thing. We are in the gym. And as soon as we get a date, I'm going to be standing on top of the roof, screaming the date out as loud as I possibly can. Because,
isn't that the truth? I think we all will be.
Teaching right now virtually, it's tough because you don't have that energy coming from the people that you stand in front of all the time.
Right. Yes, exactly. So we had a question, and I'm trying to read it because they came in on my phone. So, any tips on engaging with members during a virtual class? So, in this space, before we go back, how are you engaging so that your members stay your members and they don't start dating somebody else and decide that they're just going to stay at home in their jammies and continue dating that instructor that they found who does yoga on Zoom? So how are we going to keep our members dating us?
So we have worked out a schedule. We have a Group X schedule right now. It's a virtual schedule. We go on live 6 days a week, and same time every day, we go live and we do a class, whether it's a Crunch branded unfiltered class or a trainer class of a small group training, but it's 9:30 every day that we go on. We have 3 platforms right now. It's Zoom, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm lucky enough to have an IT person that helps me out on the back end. So she answers any questions that people have. She can tell me who's on, because Facebook and Instagram, I can't physically see them. Okay. And I can't see that far to see their name pop up. So we have interaction that way. Zoom I like because I actually can see the people. And the members like it because I can still fix their form. I can still cue good form for them. And I can still call them out just a little bit to say, hey, I'm still watching you, so you can't slack too much. But we also do replays, we do trainer tips and recipes and things like that. And we have it pretty much scheduled out every single day. We bring members in for a video or other trainers that come on, but we try to stay engaged as much as possible on social media. And I have contacts with a couple of our members right now, and more members are coming on where I've known them for a long time, and they came with me. So it helps, and have those friendships with the members already, and they'll message you on the side. What are we doing today? What do I need? So as far as equipment, we're getting really creative. We're using a bed sheet this week for TRX. So It's just going to get kind of crazy. But it's challenging on my end sometimes to be that creative and to keep it fresh so our members don't get bored. We're getting new members to pop on. They're not our members yet, but I'm still working on it. So
I know you're hoping they're going to date you in the future,
yes,
right?
Love them.
Because I do think that's what engagement is all about, right? We go into class and we're not just instructors, we're educators. And it's kind of like we're dating our people, right? We have to make them want to come back. We have to make them get an interest in us and what we have to offer them. And so this whole space that we're in, we got to continue dating. We got to keep it spicy. Otherwise, what if they don't want to date us anymore, right? This is the honeymoon phase. So we got to keep it going.
I'm totally stealing that line, the dating line. I love that. Definitely. I definitely want to be courted for sure. So, we're doing everything we possibly can at this point. Even, the virtual classes definitely need to step it up a little bit. So we've been doing a lot of research on the how-tos. Definitely new area, right? It's not what I'm used to. So it's an education on my end right now for the virtual classes, and it definitely gives me a different perspective. Helps me be a better cuer too, because I have to really think about what I'm doing, because they really, can they see me? I don't know. I hope they can see me, but just a better cuer so they can really be safe at home.
Oh yeah. I think that anytime that we're in a space that we're not used to being in, I broke my arm maybe 6-7 years ago in Costa Rica riding an ATV. It turns out I'm not so good at it. And I came back and my arm was in a sling, and so I couldn't use my hands to cue. And I was like, oh, so I had to cue only verbally, and it made me just such a better cuer because they took away a big part of what I do. So I think that all these things that we think are a setback are actually such a great lesson for us. They're just such a great building block to make us better at what we do. I feel like, we truly are only handed things that we can handle, and it's how we use them to move forward in a great way. And that's what I really wanted this to be about, was how do we use this time? How do we think about how we're going to come back so that we can come back the best version of ourselves? And I love what you had to share. I really appreciate you joining me today.
Thank you.
Thanks to our AFAA community, and keep bringing in the questions, because this will go on to on demand, so you can catch us at a later time. Keep the questions coming, keep the comments coming. Let me know if you have any ideas for future AFAA Lives that you'd like to talk about. But thank you again, Joanne, and thanks to all of you out there. I hope you have a phenomenal weekend, and I hope you get outside and see some sunshine. Thank you.